Back on the record with Senator Barry Feingold.
All right, we are approaching 1 year since the Hamas attack on Israel led to the war in Gaza. We've seen campus protests crop up since then, a rise in incidents of anti-Semitism, and earlier this month, some violence at a pro-Israel demonstration in Newton. Now, when you see this, how does that impact you?
Well, I have family over in Israel, and this has been very personal to me, and it's been incredibly difficult. I'm not against people protesting. What I'm against is when people put up signs that says "From River to the Sea," which really stands for the annihilation of Israel and wiping out Jewish people in Israel. That's not acceptable. That's anti-Semitic. That's hateful. And I think that is the stuff that needs to make sure is not happening on college campuses. And I think that's what a lot of us get concerned about.
What does it mean that so much of this is now spilling over onto local streets, sidewalks, local campuses?
I mean, the city of Newton, for example?
It is an incredibly difficult discussion, but I just hope people understand what they say has meaning, and it can be hurtful to other people, especially when they don't understand the words that they're saying. And I think if you're going to be speaking out one way or the other, you need to understand the words and what they mean.
Listen, I would never suggest that this could solve any of the problems, but one way people can be brought together is through sports. There are challenges there too, obviously. I know you have sponsored a youth sports initiative to make sure kids have a healthy relationship with athletics. What would you like to see?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very concerned about youth sports in general. This has become an industrial industry now where we're asking kids to play one sport all year round. We're seeing record number of injuries for Tommy John surgery, hip surgeries. I don't think it's healthy, and I think many of us in the legislature want to look at this and say, should there be any regulation? College players are regulated by the NCAA. High school players are regulated by the MIAA. And why is there nothing for the most vulnerable segment of our population?
When you say youth sports, what are we talking about in terms of ages? Like that you'd like to see potential regulation?
I saw something the other day that just shocked me, that they're now ranking 9 to 14-year-olds as basketball players. I mean, this 9-year-old they're ranking right now, and this is not healthy. As someone who, and I love youth sports, I'm coaching my son in hockey and football right now. I think it's great. But why does our hockey season start so early before the Boston Bruins? And some years when the Bruins aren't so good, it ends after them. Like, why are kids playing so much?
So do you see like an independent body potentially being set up to regulate?
And that's what at least we're going to do is a listening tour first and understand and listen to parents, listen to people who are providing. Because there's a lot of great stuff out there. There's a lot of great club teams out there. But I think it's something that we really need to look at and make sure that we're not harming our young people.
I'm just out of curiosity before we step aside, because there is a presidential election on the horizon. Who wins and why?
I actually think Kamala will win, just because I think there's going to be so many young people that are going to turn out that I think that's going to be the difference. I've not felt the excitement from many people since Obama, and I think that's going to make the difference. But if Trump can get his base out, then Trump will win.
Everybody says it's still razor thin, and especially because obviously it's a state-to-state race. It's still razor thin.
Why do you think it's so close?
I think we're a very divided country right now, and I hope whoever wins can bring us back together, because it's not good for any of us to have such, we need to go back to the days of Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill working on legislation, then going and having a beer afterwards. We need to get back to that.
So unrelatedly, should Drake May play against the 49ers next week? Okay, I just had to ask
that. No, let's not ruin them. Ed, please, okay?
I just had to ask.
We've had 30 great years of Patriots. We can afford a couple bad years. We'll be okay.
Almost more than a couple, though, Barry. It's getting a little bad.
I know, I'm getting a little foggy.
Great to see you. Great to see you.
Thanks for
coming here. Thanks to State Senator Barry Feingold for coming in. The Sunday Roundtable is next. Horsing around on Beacon Hill, we will giddy up and saddle up that one. We'll talk presidential politics as well. Stay with us.